नमस्कार दोस्तों, वेलकम टू आवर ऑडियो पेपर series #ShareEd. So today we started with the new newspaper, The Hindustan Times. Okay guys, so हम कुछ ऐसे आर्टिकल्स देखेंगे, कुछ ऐसे न्यूज़ेस भी देखेंगे जो बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट हैं। उसके साथ ही हम यदि समय हुआ तो एक दैनिक भास्कर का भी एक आर्टिकल देखेंगे। एक अच्छी न्यूज़ के साथ में स्टार्ट करते हैं। फाइनली दुनिया में पहला जो है कोरोना टीका लग चुका है ब्रिटेन में, फाइजर कंपनी का, है ना। उम्मीद है इसी तरीके से जो है टेक्नोलॉजी कोरोना वायरस पर भारी पड़ेगी। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं। द हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स की जो 9 दिसंबर का जो पेपर है, मैं उसका ऑडियो वर्जन आपको उपलब्ध करवा रही हूँ अपने इस चैनल पर। हम आज देखेंगे, फर्स्ट जो हम देखेंगे, एक आंध्र प्रदेश में एक्चुअली में क्या है, एक मिस्ट्री इलनेस करके जो है एक आ रहा है कि मतलब एक इसको जैसे बोले कि खुफिया एक बीमारी टाइप की, कि समझ में नहीं आ रहा है ये किस चीज़ से हो रही है। तो उसकी एक रिपोर्ट आई है, उस पर ये जो है न्यूज़ दी गई है। लिखा है कि डॉक्टर्स फाइंड लेड निकल इन सैंपल्स आफ्टर मिस्ट्री इलनेस। मिस्टर श्रीनिवास राव अपारसू की ने जो है इस पर जो है पब्लिश किया है। एलेरू से रिपोर्ट दे रहे हैं, एलेरू आंध्र प्रदेश में है, वहां से रिपोर्ट दे रहे हैं। द मिस्ट्री डिजीज दैट लेड टू वन डेथ and the hospitalization of more than 500 people with symptoms ranging from giddiness and convulsions to epilepsy in the Andhra Pradesh coastal town of Elleru has turned out to be neurotoxicity caused by the presence of heavy metals. A preliminary study conducted by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIIMS, Mangalgiri, found that it had been caused by the ingestion of metals such as lead and nickel. AIIMS authorities submitted a preliminary report to this effect to the State Medical and Health Department on Monday night. The authorities have called for some more tests to corroborate the finding. We have tentatively identified the primary cause, but it is not yet clear what its source is. The chemicals are found in the body of the patients, but not in either water or any food substance consumed by them, the State Health Commissioner said. Okay guys, so वही है। एक देखें तो कोई एक नया चीज़ नहीं है, लेकिन लगातार हमें ये चीज़ें बता रही हैं कि अगर हमारी बेसिक चीज़ें भी इफ़ेक्टिव हुई तो हमारे स्वास्थ्य पर कितना इफ़ेक्ट पड़ेगा, है ना। डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ में हमें जो है अपना क्या कहें, सबका साथ सबका विकास वाली बात है ना। एक हमें, चलिए आगे चलते हैं। ऑर्डिनेंस लाई है गवर्नमेंट, आप सभी ने सुना होगा, पॉल्यूशन लॉ करके, है ना। तो उसी पर जो है आया हुआ है, इसमें पॉल्यूशन पैनल के संबंध में गठित करना है नहीं करना, उसको लेकर के इसमें दिया गया है। हेडलाइंस हैं, द प्रोसेस स्टार्टेड ओनली आफ्टर द टॉप कोर्ट ऑर्डर्ड द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ अ पैनल टू ट्रैक पॉल्यूशन। Badge air law drafted, cleared in less than a week. अंदर लिखा है, It took less than a week in October for the Environment Ministry to draft and promulgate the ordinance mandating a commission to monitor air quality in the National Capital Region. A right to information reply has revealed, showing that the process of framing the law started only after the top court ordered the formation of a committee to track pollution. On October 16, the Supreme Court said it was setting up a committee headed by former Supreme Court Judge Madan Lokur for monitoring stubble burning and air pollution in the NCR and nearby areas, considered to be some of the most polluted in India, particularly in the winter months when post-harvest crop residue burning in Punjab and Haryana causes the capital to be shrouded by smoky haze. Moving ahead, 5 days after the Supreme Court order, the ministry started the process of setting up CAQM, that is Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas, with statutory backing, and on October 24, it requested the court not to constitute the panel. The Supreme Court agreed to the request. The first draft of the ordinance was created on October 23, 2020. The reply to an RTI application filed by this correspondent said, and the ordinance was promulgated on October 28, it added. The Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas Ordinance 2020 mandated the statutory body to adopt a consolidated approach towards monitoring, tackling and eliminating causes of air pollution in Delhi NCR by coordinating with the state governments, which however were not consulted on the law. The ordinance replaced the 22-year-old Supreme Court mandated Environment Pollution Control Authority, that is EPCA, which introduced several important interventions to control pollution. According to the ordinance, based on court orders, various ad hoc committees like the EPCA had been formed to assist in the implementation of court directives, but the new commission would subsume them. The commission works under the supervision of the central government and comprises members from all NCR states and the Central Pollution Control Board, apart from ministries such as Petroleum and Natural Gas, Agriculture and Commerce. The Commission is empowered to take decisions and act against sources of pollution under various laws like the the Environment Protection Act and Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. Former Petroleum Secretary M.M. Kuti was appointed as the first chairman of the commission on 7th of November. Central Public Information Officer, that is CPIO, Prasoon Tripathi, in the RTI reply on December 2, admitted that there had been no consultation with the states or public on the draft. This was in reply to a question whether the state governments and public had been consulted on the important air pollution mitigation legislation. The Ministry of Law and Justice was consulted. The Ministry of Law and Justice promulgated the draft for its promulgation. The reply said, he did not provide the file notings and different versions of the draft law before the ordinance was promulgated, saying the file was not with him. As and when the file is received to the undersigned, the relevant information will be provided. An Environment Ministry functionary familiar with the development said the commission was set up in a short time to initiate a coordinated effort to control air pollution in NCR. The government was swift to act and provided a platform of all stakeholders, including the civil society, to become part of the government's effort to control air pollution, he said, requesting anonymity. Legal experts said the new commission had become a hub of civil servants. It is obvious that the Environment Ministry was not keen on another Supreme Court appointed committee to monitor air pollution. So it promulgated the ordinance, creating the commission, which is dominated by bureaucrats. Of the 15 members, only 3 members represent NGOs. The majority of ministers engaged in actions that contribute to the pollution, such as that of power, housing, and road transport, are there. But crucial ones, such as rural development and health, are missing. No farmer body has been included, even though stubble burning is said to be main cause of air pollution in northern India, said Ritvik Datta, an environment lawyer. The central government has effectively taken control of anti-pollution measures in the Delhi NCR, as is evident from the fact that the chairperson of this commission is a central government appointee, said Kanchi Kohli, a legal researcher at the Center for Policy Research think tank. The enforcement mechanism is clearly top down, and so far there is no indication that it will include third party monitoring and citizen driven enforcement, she said. On Tuesday, air pollution levels in Delhi and NCR was between very poor to severe, with Ghaziabad being the most polluted city with AQI, that is air quality index, of 415. Many towns in Uttar Pradesh such as Bulandshahr and Kanpur reported AQI of more than 400. Delhi had AQI of 386, which meant that the capital's air quality was poor despite lesser number of vehicles on road because of Bharat Bandh, called by farmer bodies demanding repealing of 3 farm laws. So this is all. आगे चलते हैं। जैसा कि आप सभी ने देखा कि गवर्नमेंट जो लॉ ला रही है और उसकी क्या क्या जो है उसके चीज़ें हैं, फीचर्स हैं, है ना। बाकी आप देख सकते हैं हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स के जो है, अगर आप जानना चाहें तो जा सकते हैं आप उनके पेज पर। बाकी मैंने आपको ऑडियो वर्जन उपलब्ध करवा दिया है डिट्टो, बिल्कुल। मैंने इसमें कोई अपना ऐड ऑन नहीं किया है और ना ही अभी करूँगी, एनालिसिस पे नहीं करूँगी। आगे चलते हैं। जियो अंबानी जी जो है कुछ कह रहे हैं। उन्होंने अपनी जो है हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स को दी गई बातचीत में बोला है, जियो टू पुश 5G इन सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ 2021। अंदर लिखा है, Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani on Tuesday hinted at rolling out 5G telecom services in the second half of 2021 and said policy steps are needed to accelerate the early rollout of ultra-high-speed mobile data services that are affordable and available everywhere. Ambani, whose 4-year-old telecom venture Jio has captured the #1 spot offering free voice calling and data at low rates, also pitched for developing hardware manufacturing in India, saying the nation can't rely on imports in such a critical area. Ambani said, I assure you that Jio will pioneer the 5G revolution in India in the second half of 2021. It will be powered by an indigenously developed network, hardware and technology components. Jio's 5G service will be a testimony to Atmanirbhar Bharat. आगे लिखा है, but industrialist Sunil Mittal, the chairperson of Jio's largest competitor Bharti Airtel Limited, said that it may take 2 to 3 years for the domestic telecom market to mature enough for 5G services. Both were speaking at the 4th edition of India Mobile Congress on Tuesday. The timing of 5G rollout is a matter of concern for Jio's rivals, given a history of how it has harnessed technologies and pricing to dominate the market. In September 2016, when Jio rolled out services offering them almost for free, Airtel and Vodafone Idea Limited were forced to cut prices, taking a hit on their customer base and revenues. Ambani said India requires policy developments for early rollout of 5G services and added that Reliance Jio has built an indigenous 5G solution and will lead the rollout in India. आगे चलते हैं हम। गवर्नमेंट जो है एक यूनिवर्सल नेशनल सोशल प्रोफाइल की बात कर रही है, ताकि जो है जितने भी गवर्नमेंट से जो भी बेनिफिशियल ग्रुप्स हैं, जो भी बेनिफिट प्रोवाइड लेते हैं गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम से, उन सब का एक जो है यूनिवर्सल डेटा हो। उस संबंध में जो है एक आर्टिकल दिया हुआ है, ई गवर्नेंस कैसे बेटर हो सकता है। अंदर लिखा है कि India should create a universal national social profile in order to have a more immediate and thorough record of people entitled to government benefits. A group of ministers looking into e-governance and e-education has said, suggesting the information also include details about people's families. The suggestions are part of a report by the GOM, that is Group of Ministers, and details ways in which delivery of services and benefits through digital means can be overhauled, identifying 12 specific strategies such as creating a unified data system for all government offices, ensuring personal records are digital from when a person is born, and improving digital literacy as well as infrastructure in order to ensure these reach to every corner of the country. The report, which also includes suggestion on improvement e-education, was seen by Hindustan Times. A universal national social profile capturing individual and family benefits may be created and updated on a real-time basis. This would help in minimizing exclusion errors. This should enable a holistic assessment of the requirement for assistance from the government based on the family/individual's real-time situation and have the feature of nation's portability of entitlements. According to the report, which adds that such a measure would improve the present arrangement where such information is available through SECC data, that is socio-economic consensus data, collected once in 10 years. The GOM, that is Group of Ministers, is headed by Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, with Arjun Ram Meghwal as coordinator and Rao Indrajit Singh and Sanjay Dhotre as the other members. Their report also suggested creation of multi-dimensional, secure, real-time, geotagged, robust and accessible unified data system for all interactions that a citizen makes with the different levels of governments. They pitched for the simplification of government procedures so that they can get services from anywhere in the country or the world. This simplification can be done by creating a single sign in facility, ensuring that any office can serve functions of any other government office location, setting up a proactive platform that will present citizens with options for services and benefits and unify certifications. The number of available services and the number of services that need to be made available through e-governance may be first identified. Then, action needs to be taken accordingly. National digital platforms may be developed in line with National Digital Health Mission for various domains, the report said. The report also suggested strengthening information and providing affordable access to the internet as a prerequisite for going entirely towards digital services. The report notes that there are rural areas with connectivity issues and has suggested last mile connectivity through innovative technologies. The privacy issue should be appropriately addressed even as every effort is made for transparent and efficient implementation of government schemes with fidelity. Citizens should have control over their data. They should be able to decide what they would like to share voluntarily. Suitable precautions should be taken so that both ends are achieved. The panel has recommended. The panel, which is GOM, that is Group of Ministers. आगे लिखा है any model of e-governance should act as an enabler and facilitator in addressing public interest. With regard to issues concerning personal records and personal data, it should align with the architecture as defined in various judicial pronouncements, particularly the Supreme Court judgment of November 2019, Supreme Court versus Subhash Agrawal, as also Private Data Protection Bill under consideration, said former Union Secretary Vimal Julka, who also served as the Chief Information Commissioner. Eminent expert Nilanjan Sirayar said while e-governance improved services, it was important that the data is anonymized to prevent any misuse. Suggestions, what the GUM suggests, that it is highlighted point, that is create universal national social profile to capture real-time status of individual beneficiaries as well as of their families. Second, bring all government offices, utilities and services under a unified data system where requests can be made and processed. Third, simplify government procedures by bringing all citizen services under a single digital platform. Ensures certifications are better managed and records created from birth. Fourth, improve digital literacy to bridge the divide between those that can access e-governance and those that can't. Fifth, allow private players to use service platform in an open, easy and secure manner. Focus must also be on mobile governance. That's all for today. Thank you.